Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm going to talk about what it means to have your Saturn sextile or trine to someone's sun in Synastry or vice versa. This is a super helpful and common aspect to see. Um, it's not super romantic or flowery or emotional, really, but they can really make each other feel good about themselves. So the Saturn person can see the Sun person as this bright light, this confident, illuminating force. And the Sun person can see the Saturn person as someone who offers them stability, groundedness, practical advice. The Sun person could still kind of feel like the Saturn person is inhibiting, or, maybe their advice or their just the way they go about their life is still more restrictive or like kind of conservative to the Sun person, but the Sun person still, even though they can see the Saturn person as like maybe a little bit too, yeah, like Saturny, restrictive, cold, whatever, they still find the value in what the Saturn person is giving them. So it could kind of feel like, oh, maybe this Saturn person, they're a little bit boring or stable, and like they kind of ground me. And because it's the trine or the sextile, this is generally more helpful and not as annoying. And there's a lot of real care for each other and genuine helpfulness. The Sun person can go out of their way to kind of like crack a joke or compliment the Saturn person. It's kind of like they bring a lot of light to the Saturn person's life. And the Saturn person has this like unwavering loyalty to the Sun person. And even though they might not always be able to express their love in like a flowery way, because when Saturn is involved, even in a positive aspect, it's still Saturn, right? Like even in a trine or a sextile, Saturn doesn't become Venus or something. Saturn is still Saturn. So even though it's a positive aspect, it's still like Saturn can have a hard time actually describing in words how much they care for Venus. And, oh, sorry, not Venus. I'll talk about Venus, trine, Saturn in my next video. Sun. So yeah, Saturn can have a hard time even accurately describing how much they feel for Sun, but they can do a lot in, practical action steps towards helping the Sun person's life. So this is a common aspect in marriages and romantic relationships, but it's also very helpful and maybe even more helpful for like a business relationship or partnership, because the Sun and Saturn are not really romantic placements. This is really helpful on a business or material sense. So like whatever you're working on separately, you when you get together with this person, you're able to bring it to fruition. Like you're able to get those ideas down on paper and like actually start the business, but not in a way that's like impulsive or like not planned well. It's like from this association, from this union, the trine or the sextile of Saturn and Sun, you can really accomplish a lot and it will be successful because it's not impulsive. You're gonna plan things right. The advice you're hearing is good, and I mean, you want to look at everything else. You could have like a bunch of Neptune squares or whatever, and then I would still say that maybe this aspect would not override that. But in general, just from this one aspect alone in isolation, super helpful for getting your business out there, getting your financial situation straightened out, getting your confidence boosted. Specifically, well, they both can have an increase in confidence because the Sun person is kind of lighting up the Saturn person and helping them see their Saturn issues in a way that is helpful and healing. And then the Saturn person is helping ground the Sun person to really integrate their Sun sign and those qualities into a higher level that's maybe not egotistical. It can be kind of humbling, but it's never quite too far in a way where Sun feels put down. Like, for example, with Sun conjunct or square to Saturn or opposite Saturn in Synastry, where the Sun person can just feel so like their ego is not recognized or put down. This is very different. It's like the Sun person's ego is not stroked because it's still Saturn, but it's like they're able to see themselves in a new light that is actually helpful and actually accurate. So having accurate perception of your Sun self, your ego identity self, your purpose is very helpful. And that's what this union can be really helpful for. And so this is one of those Saturn aspects that it is sticky like glue. It's common in a marriage relationship. It's common for growth in partnership. So where it's like not the sudden crazy growth of Jupiter, where it's like a huge influx of cash or whatever is coming in, like with some stroke of luck. It's not like that. It's like growth in financial resources, growth in confidence, not suddenly, but in a steady, slow, like accumulation, right? So like over the course of a lifetime, you grow together and your confidence improves and your business improves and your purpose is gradually going to increase. And it's a really helpful aspect, and you can feel really safe together. The Sun person can feel really taken care of by the Saturn person, and the Saturn person just has so much respect for the Sun person. Like they really can want to take care of them and want to do whatever they can to make them feel safer. It's like they do have this like unwavering bond of loyalty, and they really feel like the they feel like the Sun person is worth giving this commitment to. And so sometimes it can be that the Saturn person is the one that wants the commitment more, but you'd have to look at everything. The Saturn person can, on the negative side, still like want to kind of keep Sun for themselves, because it can be kind of addicting to be around someone who is aspecting your Saturn in a positive way, because it's really healing, but like at the same time it's not too much. It's not too much growth that you can't handle. It's like just the right amount. So on the negative side with this aspect, the Saturn person could still, even as we see in negative Saturn synastry, like want to kind of lock down Sun and keep Sun for themselves. And like maybe if this is just a business association, or like maybe that's not the Sun's intention, that could be the negative side of this, is that Saturn feels like the authority, like they want to keep Sun and like make this into something because they feel it's worthwhile. But if the Sun person Saturn is not making aspects to their chart on the double whammy, on the vice versa, maybe the Sun person isn't seeing them in that way where their loyalty is activated, because just from Sun alone doesn't show that we want a relationship. So you have to look at the whole, like, what else is going on. Are there Saturn aspects going both ways? And usually there will be. And also you can look for Saturn aspects in the composite chart as well to see what the real purpose of the relationship is. But this is definitely a helpful aspect in the interaction. And it's really helpful for getting to know yourself better and clearer, and that grounding that you might need in your life. So I'd love to know your experience of this aspect. Was it like this? Was it not like this? Let me know in the comments, and thank